The third bit in this supplement is a LinkedIn article on CMOs. It's a very interesting article. Let's see who it's by. It's Dominique Turpin. He is the president at IMD, which is a very prestigious school, a very highly ranked school in Europe, a business school. And look at the title of his article. The Chief Marketing Officer is dead. He certainly doesn't seem to be very hopeful about the progress that the other two studies that we talked about seem to be suggesting. And he starts by saying, I have some sad news, the Chief Marketing Officer is dead. Do read it very carefully, as I keep saying, and let me know of questions, if any. I'll just touch upon some of the major aspects of this article. He provides 4 reasons for why he thinks the CMO position is dead. Most CMOs are not really immersed in marketing activities. What he's talking about here is that most CMOs have been stuck with the A view of marketing that we talked about, and haven't been doing much beyond communication, really. So most CMOs, in his view, has not embodied or have not been vehicles for executing the B view, the broader view of marketing. That's his first point. The second point is that CFOs have become more powerful, okay? Because of tough trading conditions and short-term pressure from financial markets. The CFO is also winning the race to the very top. Most CEOs now have a finance or engineering background, and a few come from sales and marketing, okay? That's not good news for marketing. His third reason is marketing impact is often hard to measure. This is very true. Of all the things that we do in marketing, run ads, offer discounts, send different promotional materials to customers, these are very difficult to measure the effects of. Now, recently we have seen a surge in the interest in using data, especially marketing analytics. One of the core purposes of using data for marketing purposes is to help measure the effectiveness of marketing tactics, practices, or decisions. We have made some progress, but by its very nature, these are very difficult actions for which we can effectively measure their effectiveness. So it's a battle that's difficult to win completely. Although there is a concerted effort out there to do so, to help measure the impact of marketing in quantitative terms using marketing analytics. So he's so right that it's what marketers do, the exact values they create in organizations are very difficult, if not impossible, to measure quantitatively. Nobody has a clear idea of what marketing is. Oh boy, we are back to square one again, it seems, right? The identity of marketing is at stake, and here is a president at a very prestigious school, business school in Europe, speaking to that very issue that we started speaking about when we first started discussing the fundamentals part 1. So we're back to that struggle of marketing with its identity. Nobody has a clear idea of what marketing is. What's his suggestions? He says, get rid of the CMO title because nobody understands it. Scrap the CMO title and call that person a Chief Customer Officer instead. That's an innovative suggestion, and it's an interesting one. Get the CEO to be the CMO. So many of the marketing activities, the thought patterns, the decision-making philosophies that are driven by marketing, can be driven by marketing, should be done by the CEO. So in other words, the CEO should be the primary marketer in an organization. Get the CFO on board too. Doing this requires taking some of the fuzziness out of marketing. CCOs need to be financially literate and produce hard numbers that show the return on investment from marketing. Now, this is something that you will see come back to you when you read the first 2 articles. I think Article 1 more than the other articles. One of the issues of marketing education, and this is true about practiced marketing also, is that marketers have been not so good at being quantitative in their assessment, their thinking, and their actions. In other words, marketers have been fuzzy, and Dominique says that here. He says this requires taking some of the fuzziness out of marketing. Yes, marketing is creative, can be creative, can try to remain creative, but not at the expense of numbers, not at the expense of the necessity to demonstrate their effectiveness quantitatively. So CEOs, I mean to say CCOs, should be financially literate and should be able to speak in numbers. Use customer knowledge to build influence with backing from the big two in the C-suite, the big two being the CEO and the CFO. That's a reality. CCOs can use their customer knowledge to influence discussions of product design and pricing and make a company's offerings more sensitive to the market. Well, you will see this come back to you in Article 1, which is a much more elaborate take on the position of CMOs. What Dominique seems to be really suggesting is that we have lost our battle with the term marketing. Marketing is so inextricably linked with the connotation of communication and selling that he seems to think that it is absolutely no point trying to win that battle. We should change the term marketing, switch it out, and replace it with customer. If I were to take this vision a step forward, I'd say he'd like to see a future where we don't even talk in terms of the word marketing much in organizations. We talk in terms of customer initiatives. So marketing has been replaced with the word customer entirely, almost. That's interesting because I have independently been thinking something like that in my job also. Why have a department of marketing? Why not have a department of customer understanding, customer insight? We seem to be talking about the same thing. It's just a change in terminology, and maybe the world would be in a better place to buy this change in terminology, because marketing has been stigmatized with that that age-old A view, the communication-based view that we talked about. So is it a lost battle? I don't know. I don't know. The future will tell. The world doesn't seem to be listening to the suggestion of changing the marketing position and converting it to a customer position. I don't think we are there yet, not even remotely. But it's an interesting thought. Just one last thing before I say goodbye for Fundamentals Part 1. Back in the 1950s, the management guru, Peter Drucker, wrote that a company has only two key functions: marketing and innovation. I don't know if you know about Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker has been one of the most influential business thinkers of the last century. He died, I think, in the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Peter Drucker is a very interesting character. I was told that, I read somewhere that he never used anything but a typewriter. But his ideas influenced many companies, many organizations for many years. So you might like to search him up on Google or something. But one of the things that he did in the 1950s is he forwarded this marketing concept. We'll talk about that more in the Fundamentals Part 2, Peter Drucker's marketing concept. But it's essentially the concept that marketing is everything. Marketing and innovation are the two things that drive companies. Okay, so I just wanted to draw your attention to this name, the stalwart of stalwart of a business thinker. One last thing from here. I like this sentence. This is great. So goodbye to the CMO. Hello to the CCO. Dominique Turpin's article is very interesting because of at least two things. The first one is that his idea is very interesting. The very thing that he's proposing is very interesting. The second thing is how he has written it. So if you're looking for examples of impactful writing, writing that has effectiveness, I think this could serve as one. It can certainly improve. Anything can improve, but in 2 pages he makes a very interesting point, very elegantly, I'd say. Again, I hope you'd read these articles in detail and share with me any comments or questions that you might have. That's it for me for Fundamentals Part 1. I'll see you soon talking about Fundamentals Part 2, which talks about market orientation mostly. It's one of the philosophies of marketing. And but until then, take care.